What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? So could the Yankees be possibly looking at their next shortstop? Let's go talk about it. Okay, so here we go. This is one of the more interesting things that I have read this offseason. The Yankees have reportedly considered Matt Chapman as part of their shortstop search. There are still various paths the Yankees' search for shortstop help could take, and the organization has at least given some thought to a potential out-of-the-box solution. In an appearance on the Michael Kay show this week, Buster Olney of ESPN said the Yankees have talked a little bit internally about the possibility of acquiring A's third baseman Matt Chapman with an eye towards moving him to shortstop. That is quite interesting if you ask me. The one thing I'm going to focus on before I dive into everything, I'm going to focus on those two key words right there. Little bit. I'm sure there was some kind of a meeting with the Yankees. Someone just said, hey, maybe if Matt Olson's a little too expensive, Matt Chapman should be a little cheaper, and maybe we could put him at short. And maybe they were just like, maybe. I think that's probably as far as it got. I'm thinking Matt Chapman, in my personal opinion, I'm going to keep this guy right at third base, especially with the hip surgery that he just got. To me, if you're just having a surgery on your hip, I've had the same surgery. I know how it feels. Good thing for my hip. It's actually doing pretty well today. I got that surgery about 4 years ago. But with Matt Chapman, to me, I mean, this guy, he's putting way more wear and tear on himself out there. To me, handling shortstop, you don't see my dopey potato self running around trying to play shortstop. So for my case, it's a little different. Matt Chapman, I can't even imagine how much that's going to be on that poor hip. So to me, I think sticking him at third base, keeping him at third base, that is the right move. But let's talk about the bat a little bit. What happened with Matt Chapman last year? Well, if we take a look, he did have 27 home runs, so that was nice to see, but batting average only 210, an on base of 314, only a slugging of 403, a 101 WRC plus. Good defense, was able to bring that WAR up to a 3.4. Defense last year was a 10.8. So Matt Chapman, you can still count on him very much. I don't think you should move that glove to short. I think you should keep it right at third. Don't fix what's not broke. That's just the way I think about it. But Matt Chapman, what exactly happened? Well, the exit velocity was still ranking pretty well. Max exit velocity was still there. He still walks a lot, but he does strike out a little bit too. Was still getting a good amount of barrels. Wasn't chasing too much. You know, considering he did just have the hip surgery, he still was pretty good with the sprint speed there. So maybe that's why the Yankees are maybe thinking, hey, this guy could be pretty good at short. I don't know. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't. He did play a little short last year, and he was fine, but to me, that's just not really his natural position. But I'm thinking with the Yankees, they see the sprint speed, so they're probably thinking he could be athletic enough to handle it. And of course, with the glove, you don't have to worry about the glove. So what exactly happened with the bat last year? To me, I still think this guy is still taking some time to come back from the hip surgery a little bit. If we take a look, the exit velocity from 2019 and 2020, it did go down a little bit to 89.7. So it lost a little bit there. If you take a look at launch angle, the launch angle, actually did go up. I'm not looking at 2020 so much because it was a short season, but it did go up from 2019. So maybe he was trying to do a little something different with his swing, trying to get a little bit more loft there. The barrel percentage actually did go up from 2019. So, but I'm taking a look here. He actually had a first pitch swing percentage in 2019 of 25.2, and it went up to 28.9. So it sounds like he was trying to be a little more aggressive there. So maybe the approach was kind of affecting him a little bit. I mean, he has always been a bit of a low batting average kind of a guy. But if we take a look at Matt Chapman, he's had better on base percentages in his career, 356 in 2018, 2019, 342, and the batting averages were a little better as well. The batting averages the last couple of seasons just haven't really been there. I do think a big part of it, he was working through that hip, before he got the surgery, and now he's still trying to work his way back. So I think, to me, I think we are going to see Matt Chapman get back to those, that 2018 Matt Chapman. That's just what I personally think, and the 2019 Matt Chapman as well. So I think he's going to be just fine in 2022. So to me, I think what ended up happening with him, I think that's the big thing, just working his way back. And he's probably trying a bit of a different approach. This wasn't really quite working out with him this year. So Matt Chapman, I think he's going to be fine next year, but I would not move him over to short. I could see also why the Yankees would want to maybe put him at short, because at least with Gio Urshela, I mean, you could keep him at third or whatever, or you can just keep Matt Chapman at third And then you can have Gio Urshela play short. I mean, I guess, if you could do that if you really wanted to. So we'll just have to wait and see. There is also the idea, I wonder if the Yankees have also looked at this a little bit, where Isaiah Kiner-Falefa on the Rangers, he actually transitioned from third base over to short, and he actually had a successful transition. So it's not completely out of the question. Again, I'm just thinking with Matt Chapman, you got that hip. I don't know. Is it going to be able to handle short? I'm not quite sure about that. But with Matt Chapman, you are going to have him for 2 years. He is projected to have a $9.5 million arbitration for this year. And then for next year, he'll be under control for 1 more year before he hits free agency. So you are getting him for 2 years. What a trade would possibly look like. I have a trade right here. I have a 3-for-1. It looks pretty even if you ask me. Matt Chapman going to the Yankees. He has a $24.1 million value. And going back to the A's, we have right-hander Gomez, outfielder Pereira, and shortstop Vargas. With Gomez, as of right now, he is their number 8 prospect. Also going back in this deal would be Alexander Vargas, the number 4 prospect, but he is still pretty far away, and you got 2 shortstops in front of him, so maybe the Yankees could see him as expendable. And then we had one more. We had Pereira. Pereira right now is their number 16 prospect. So I feel like this would be pretty even if you ask me for Matt Chapman. Now, if the Yankees don't want to go that route, let's just say they're not really serious about that. Well, you got plenty of other options out there. Will they finally maybe want to break the banks, for the first time since Garrett Cole, and spend big on someone like a Carlos Correa? It doesn't seem like that's very likely according to reports out there, but we'll have to wait and see. One guy who I've been on this bandwagon for a long time, Trevor Story. I think it'd be a great fit with the Yankees. The question is, how's the arm doing? There were some reports this past year. Maybe there was something going on with his elbow or shoulder, something like that, where his throws were a little off, but the range is still there for Trevor Story. But it maybe seems that teams are maybe looking at him as more of a second baseman. That's possible as well. With Trevor Story, I actually think that would be a pretty interesting fit if he were to go to the Yankees, because I'm wondering with Trevor Story, I'm wondering what his market is going to look like eventually, because I don't know, he's probably seeking out a long-term deal, but look at how the market was for him at the trade deadline. Sure, you have to give up prospects or whatever for Trevor Story, but I wonder if teams still feel the same. Do they want to dish out a lot of money? Didn't seem like teams were really willing to break the bank for him at the deadline. So are teams still feeling that way about giving Trevor Story a long-term contract? It could be maybe he ends up only getting like a 1-2 year deal, maybe a 1-year deal, kind of like how Marcus Semien was last year. He got, I think, around $18 million last year, and look what just happened with Marcus Semien this year. I think Trevor Story could definitely take that same route. If the Yankees wanted to go a little cheaper, you could go with Simmons, a sure glove at short. He's not going to be able to hit anything at all. He won't be able to hit the side of a barn if he even tried, but at least he's going to give you a glove. You could also go to the trade market as well. Like I mentioned earlier, there is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. There were some reports that the Yankees were interested in him earlier this offseason. Could they revisit that possibly? And then there's also someone like Nick Ahmed on the Diamondbacks. Could the Diamondbacks want to maybe try and make an upgrade? They have Perdomo there, who, young shortstop. He could take the reins. To me, Nick Ahmed is 31 years old. Maybe you want to move on, to someone like a Geraldo Perdomo if you are the Diamondbacks. As of right now, with the Diamondbacks, Nick Ahmed is their number 1 option. Perdomo, high-level prospect. He did okay last year. Maybe they want to turn to him. So there's a lot of options here for the Yankees for shortstop. Could Matt Chapman be a solution? We'll have to wait and see. I think that would be rather interesting if they did get him and then moved him to short. I don't know about that. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you're a Yankee fan, would you want Matt Chapman to be your shortstop? Would you want him to maybe be your third baseman? Have Urshela play short? Would you go after one of these other guys? Correa, Story, Simmons, maybe make a trade for Falefa or maybe Nick Ahmed? Let me know what you think down below. Yankee fans, I would love to hear your opinion. And anyone else, I would love to hear your opinion as well. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.